that is royal. You're here to lead, and you're here to overcome some pretty sizable obstacles in your life. You're meant to live the exact opposite of your destiny, and that catapults you into your rightful throne. So those circumstances were not meant to keep you there or hold you there, and that was not your destiny. It was the exact opposite. And you could literally write a book on the power of overcoming, which is really cool. These are truths about your soul as they are written in the stars in this system of ancient astrology. You've heard the saying written in the stars, right? So this is part of the Akashic records. And it's the part that is the true nature of your soul, your birthrights, your gifts. And these are all protected by higher powers, governed by higher powers. And they're also wisdom that you came here with. It's an energetic blueprint to your soul. And the ancient Mayans even have more truths about your cosmic signature, your divine signature. So that is a system of astrology that you guys also all love. You can discover more and more truths about your soul. So this isn't all there is about your soul, but it's some cool stuff. And it will also tell me that you're a very masterful soul, an adult soul with thousands of years of incarnations, but an adult soul, and then your person is an older soul. They are here maybe as like a wise counselor, or if they don't play that role professionally, maybe personally, teaching others about emotions. They don't have the easiest path when it comes to love. In fact, they have a lot of hardship and losses in this incarnation, and releasing attachments and things like that. So at the condition you found their heart in, I do hope that they were open and receptive to this love, because sometimes souls that experience this path and then these lessons, which are tied to the ways they're gaining wisdom, it can feel very disheartening and devastating to a point where they need to really heal, repair, replenish themselves, restore themselves to be ready for love. So I don't know where they were in their readiness, but I want to give honor to that pain. Now, with your path, there's a lot of fate. You have a fated destiny. You have higher power saying, we have a very definite, defined destination here, okay? So like when you're flying an airplane and it gets a little off course, like there's course correct, right? There's deviating from the path and getting back on. And it's kind of like that. Like you have to land at this airport. The universe and your souls have this contract. And let me see here, to be sure. Like there's a strong need for you to create a lot of peace in your life. And sometimes things are meant for you. It could lead you for waiting for it to come your way when you're really meant to go after it. Because your trust and your faith and knowing it's yours is one thing, but your potential for success, your key really is getting yourself out of any rut to know that you can't just indefinitely wait for it to show up. Because otherwise, the expectation, you're valid in your faith, it's going to arrive. Like something dramatic is going to happen to take you into your next chapters, and then sometimes you get in these ruts, but that's your key. Like the ebbs and flows, the chaos, next chapter, and then you're getting in a comfortable rut and you're trusting what's ahead. But it's the action steps. You got it. You're going to arrive, you're going to achieve, but it is definitely it's like when the universe is ready to hand it to you, but you just got to reach out and grab it and meet the universe halfway. So that really is something that you probably have already grasped, and maybe it just resonates right to hear that. But that's a lot of your soul work in this incarnation. Okay, now with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into these cards were invented for astrology as a calendar. And then they became playing cards. They were taken from humanity so they would not be lost or destroyed, and the system of astrology was meant to be preserved. And in the meantime, as we played card games with them, these all got lost in translation. Per the prophecy, this system would return to humanity when we needed it most. And it did 300 years ago. So the kings are not tied to gender, but roles, and it's a soul archetype, and kings are the most understanding and sympathetic souls, and they seldom use their power, authority, and leadership to dominate. Again, they have incredible power of overcoming, and you've incarnated with such knowledge that you are meant to share with the world. And if that's not realized, then later in life there could be a lot of disappointment and regret as a result. So you will find your soul guiding you to share the knowledge that you hold. You have this this resource of inner wisdom and knowledge, but also direct access to divine knowledge, this inexhaustible well of resource to that knowledge. And yes, you're meant to lead, and that is your kingdom. You are guardian of intellect, logic, and reason. Like, things have to factually add up for you in your world. Like, that is how you operate. It's not to say you don't operate in other ways, but this you appreciate, and this you're great at. Okay, now in this relationship, there are karmic ties. I'm seeing that it is you that gives to your person. And as you give to them, I always thought, I have a purpose here, something that bigger than myself, and knowing, yes, totally. And if you want to discover more of it, the report really outlines it. And you already paid $22 for this reading. The reports are $44, but you get to use what you paid as a credit. So you could upgrade for $22, and that offer is good for 30 days. So there's no pressure on that. But if you wanted to, that route is available. Let me go ahead and set the timer for 10 minutes. Set timer for 10 minutes. Okay, so this karmic tie, you're strong mirrors of each other. And karmics who are mirrors have the opportunity for divine union, which is really like the spiritual union. I think when you get married, that's in this mundane realm, right? And like coming into union, your souls, that's like two becoming one, okay? I mean, you do that in a sense energetically, like you share the same heart and you share the same mind and you share the same path and you share the same destiny, when you choose your person, but really your soul's choosing each other as well. So as strong mirrors, you will experience each other's emotions and feel what it's like to be with someone that's a lot like you. You're going to observe a lot of similarities, but also you're going to see where, oh, that's not me, that's actually my person, but I would never express myself or in that way or share that part of me. But that would be an opportunity for you to extend unconditional love. And then vice versa, your person, as they look into their mirror, which is you, they're not always going to see themselves, they're going to see you. And that's their opportunity to extend unconditional love without a need for either one of you to act a certain way, and just really giving each other freedom to be yourselves and not get so triggered that you're not always mirroring each other, right? So that's the work that mirrors do in a nutshell. But also sometimes we do see us in the mirror and we see parts of us we do or don't recognize, and then that could be triggering one way or the other. So then we reach for self-love and self-acceptance and compassion, and we do a lot of that work when we have this connection. Okay, so karmic mirrors, as a result, they can bridge the gap to intimacy that way and have the highest degree of intimacy available to them. So as you're giving and they're receiving, this love can take on a very magical tone where that positive karmic resonance is flowing between your souls, and it just feels like all is right in the universe, right? But then if that gets off track, it's like if you're giving a lot but their expectation is up there, that's no bueno. We don't want that. We don't want that. That's not how it's supposed to play out. So you're giving and they're receiving without expectation of more, and then you're giving without expectation of receiving, in order to balance that. And by the way, this is a very normal, natural phenomena. We all have these soul ties. Even souls that incarnate without personal karma will still have their karmic family souls like them that don't have personal karma, and they give to each other. So we all have these connections. Nothing negative about it. In fact, it's really kind of unique. It really depends on your other soul ties as far as like how well the whole story plays out. I do see that your desire to get together and just be very ambitious in this incarnation, it's like there is a lot going on. Your person is mentoring you in ways where they are your teacher. They have and hold understandings that could catapult you into greater success, as long as they're not critical. So there's a high and a low expression of each of these. And these are the same soul ties. Your person is your Saturn on the life spread, which means they are your teacher. So you chose that because of the way that they are equipped to guide you. Now, if they're like a teacher sees a student's mistakes, and a good teacher even has bad days and would be critical or point out the mistakes or, entitled to a bad day, but as long as they're not critical, they definitely are seeing you under a microscope. So they're equipped to reach for the right answer for you, right? Or help guide you towards that. But as long as they're not critical and calling out your flaws or errors or mistakes, because that would be depressing and difficult, and we don't want to love like that. It feels parental. The planet Saturn is the parental planet, so that's why this energy can get off track in that direction. So to avoid that, just no criticism on behalf of your partner. No, nobody likes a salty love, right? So not to say you guys have ever experienced that or would, but that potential does exist here. Now, at the highest expression, this feels like a very grounded, mature. Sorry, that was my battery light going off. Feels like a very grounded, mature, responsible love where their advice can really catapult you into achievement and success. And you feel more satisfied with your life. It improves your status and recognition, career, relationships. So there's the high expression. Now, there's obviously degrees in between where love would maybe toggle back and forth. But, like, let's just say best case scenario, like they're really your rock. They've got some great advice for you. And then in this connection, this one is a karmic tie that does have a reputation of making or breaking a relationship. So I know that this love needs some special attention. It has some high rewards, but it also has a high risk. And I'm going to give you the keys that can make or break and prevent deterioration of this love and promote catapulting each other into this power couple dynamic and experiencing the highest rewards. And those keys are communication. So if communication is ethical and respectful and loving and kind, always, that might be an unfair expectation, but as much as possible, then you're on the high road to those high rewards. And if not, if it's anything but that, it could be like pouring salt on an old past life wound where it could cause pain and deterioration or erosion of this love. So this relationship serves to be the best teacher of both of your lives. Now, the harm that was done most likely was unconsciously occurring. So it's very noble for your souls to get together and say, you know what, let's learn from that together. And then you're going to also learn a lot from each other. So, it is intense, it is challenging, but being up for the challenge is one thing, right? And sometimes the more work we put into a relationship, the more we've invested, the better results it produces and the more valuable it can become. And I also see you are their Mars, and they're also your Mars. So the Mars in the relationship that was a bad word, ignites passion and intensity. So argument, anger, aggression, it just is a mixture. Mars is kind of a mixed bag of intense energies. So triggering each other is definitely what you will do. There's ways to enjoy the highest expression of these soul ties, and that's to spend the energy passionately, all the fun ways, but also all the boring ways like housework and yard work and chores and things like that. But if you have a business or a hobby together, those are brilliant ways to harness this energy of Mars and spend it, and that's how you transmute that into love. And that's what that energy seeks, is direction. So it is very comparable to, the analogy would be fireworks. It's meant to be passionate and exciting. This is going to feel like lust at first sight. This is going to feel very magnetic. So much passion, and you never run out of that. That's the good news. And then if you're not able to stay as physical together, that's when you'll notice friction, tension, irritation, even fighting or heartbreaking arguments, and it might seem intentional, but it truly, I can't read if it would be, but I can see it's going to happen without you trying to anger each other. It's just going to happen. So letting each other off the hook, kind of neutralizing that blame and taking a closer look at the buttons that were pushed and that anger and why it's going off. So each of you looking at, okay, you push my button, but my button is there for what reason? Okay, so we look at our buttons, and eventually you'll break each other's buttons, meaning like it won't anger you as much as it used to in certain ways. But as you work through that energy, it's really exciting. Fireworks are meant to be exciting. Just handle with care. Just know it's not a bad thing. You kind of want this energy. This is the chemistry that when you get a love like this, you don't let go, because it's like simply the most passionate love of your life, right? So that's what that energy is. The nature of Mars, the god of war, is also quite magical. Now you've also got a lot of pure love. So we're talking about the goddess of love flowing throughout your love. Sorry, TikTok filtered that, but I see it now. I'm making all these links. So with this energy here, you have a lot of pure love between your souls. And this is compatibility. It stems from good karma together. You're Venus to them, so the love is blinding for them. Like it's flowing straight at them. They can't help but adore you. And their awareness to the appreciation and affection they have for you is pretty effortless. Like they don't have to think twice about it. They're just feeling that love for you. Now you're getting the reflection of that for sure. This connection also tells me that you have a lot in common. Very high degree of compatibility. Your value systems even align. Your lifestyles, like the way you enjoy spending your time, the activities you love to share. It's like we could do life together. This is happily ever after. It's even extending into bedroom compatibility. It's pure love. And then even come what may at the end of the day, they really can't stay that mad at you with the direction that love is flowing. So while they can get that way, they just can't stay mad. They might be perplexed by that actually, because you're also Venus to them here. So it's extra pure love. And you might notice that, like it might be observable. But if they've not shown or told you that, let me be the messenger. Like, sorry, my alarm tonight is set so loud. And with last but not least, this connection is past life friends. Okay, so you guys have been together already in ways where you've just developed this unconditional love for each other without a need for you guys to be a certain way in order to be fully accepted and embraced, and then freedom to be yourself. Like there's nothing better than that energy. This adds to the health, vitality, longevity of your love, and it might leave you feeling like you're not a priority. So if your person can really communicate and reassure you that they do want to spend time with you, or maybe they missed you while they were away, they get to say those things out loud, chances are you're going to need to hear that reassurance. And then if you can sync your schedules, that's another key. Without restricting each other's freedom, just try to sync your schedule so you're, coming and going at the same times approximately. And then prioritizing date night is important. That way you're always feeling like a priority, and then you have all the time in the world to go and pursue your individuality. There's also an analogy that I heard over 10 years ago from someone from my church, and I do want to share that because I remember how helpful it was to me, and it goes really nicely with couples who have this connection. It's really good advice for any couple, but especially if you have one partner in the relationship off as the Uranus in the relationship, exploring their freedom, and that's their role. And your key is to prioritize couple time. Okay, so here's the analogy, and I'll try to abbreviate it in case you're ready for bed or you have to go. So there's two vases, metaphorically, and one vase is full of golf balls, and you have a vase full of sand. So the golf balls represent your priorities, and the sand represents your free time and your freedom, doing whatever you want, right? So how are you going to fit both vases into one now that you've come together? Because if you try to pour the golf balls, which are the priorities, on top of your freedom and your free time, that's already full. It's just not going to fit. But if you do it in reverse, you leave your priorities intact, those come first, and then you take the vase of sand, it's going to filter around those priorities and fit in nicely. You're going to fit a lot more in that way. You might be surprised at how much you can fit in that way. But that's how it's done. That's a great analogy, because prioritizing your relationship is the key. Good advice for any relationship. Thanks for sharing your story. I wish I'd recorded it. I'm going to upload it on, YouTube for you, okay? I